Do you know India loses 8 lakh crore rupees every year because of poor air quality? That's 3% of our total GDP lost in potential because of bad air quality. Delhi, of course, pays the worst price of all. Every year we talk about it. We hope it will get better. Every year it gets a little bit worse. It's time for us, after 15 years of discussing this problem year in and year out, it's time for us to get real about air quality and why India is just not able to get on top of this problem like China did about a decade ago. Let's take a look at what has happened right now to begin with. Remember, like, share, subscribe, share the story with anyone you think will find this information useful. Sign up for our membership if you can. Let's take a look at what happened this Diwali. Delhi recorded its worst post Diwali air quality in 4 years. This is according to the Central Pollution Control Board, the government's own agency. The PM 2.5 levels peaked at 675 micrograms per cubic meter. This is 100 times higher than what the WHO says is the safe limit. So 100 times the poison that you are supposed to be breathing. The next morning, the AQI was at 335, which was very poor, although a lot of people argued that when they took their AQI meters and walked out onto their balcony, it was closer to 1,000 and not 335 according to the government readings. Doctors say breathing Delhi's air right now is like smoking 10 cigarettes a day. It's a surge of asthma, bronchitis, COPD. They're starting to tell you not to leave your home anymore. This is also, like I said, taking a toll on economy. According to a study published by Lancet, air pollution caused 1.6 million deaths in India in 2019. That was the last, number we had. We don't have a study after that. But there has been a really interesting report by Clean Air Fund Dalberg Advisors about what it's costing us in GDP, right? So according to them, it says 8 lakh crore rupees, so 3% of our GDP is being lost in air pollution. How, you ask, is this happening? I will tell you. One, direct health cost. When people get sick, they put pressure on the healthcare system, on the big hospitals. So there are a lot more, ICU admissions, a lot more hospital admissions for asthma, COPD, pneumonia, cardiac arrest, stroke, and preterm births. There's lost labor productivity. People call in sick, they don't come in, or there's something called presenteeism, where they come to work, but they're too sick to actually perform at peak levels. This happens in manufacturing and service sectors a lot, or sectors where people have to work outdoors. Construction has to be curbed because of air pollution, logistics, outdoor retail, tourism. All of this takes a hit when AQI crosses 300 every year. Apart from that, remember, an additional 10 mg of exposure to PM 2.5, apparently, according to Harvard University, declines students' test performance and memory. Also, you know that schools close regularly during severe smog weeks, so it disrupts many days of learning for students. There are premature deaths. So this is a slightly harsh statistic, but it's a real statistic. People die earlier, which reduces the amount of working days that you could get out of each human being, thereby hitting the economy. And hopefully that at least will make us realize, if we don't feel sad enough for the fact that people are dying prematurely or earlier. There's depressed consumer activity and tourism. So basically, in studies from 2024, from last year, said Delhi's hotels reported 30% cancellation in their reservations. People don't go out, they don't go to restaurants, they don't shop, which means that there is a drop in consumerism. Although I must point out here, as far as the Diwali week was concerned, business was booming and it did really well. So this is perhaps something that will play out for the rest of the year. Pollution makes cities less attractive to investors, to talent, and to expats. We've seen this happen. Global surveys rank Delhi and Gurgaon as the least livable cities because of their air quality. Multinational firms have to pay a pollution hardship allowance to any expat, or we should call them white immigrants, who are working in these cities. So this effectively slows down investment that we could be hoping for from anywhere across the world. The World Bank estimated India's total welfare productivity loss from air pollution to be 7.7 of the GDP. Although I must point out again that as far as India is doing in general on its economy, we're doing really well. It is this problem that we must get a handle on. Let's take a look at why we can't solve this problem, in spite of the fact that we know that it's costing us money, it's costing our economy its speed, it's costing us health, and it's costing us life. Delhi bears the worst of it. According to the Clean Air Fund, Delhi alone could lose 6% of its GDP because of all the productivity loss, the healthcare loss, the disrupted flights, the outdoor business revenue loss, school shutdowns, and so on. So why are we not able to get a handle on it? Now, let's take a minute to see what's going on in Delhi. You remember in 2018, the Supreme Court, brought about an order asking for green crackers to be developed by CSIR and NEERI, and they came up with a green cracker, which they said cut down emissions by 30% and also eliminated some toxic metals like barium nitrate. Now, this Diwali, despite the fact that there were fewer farm fires in Punjab, which is down to about close to 75% of what it was last year, Delhi's air quality still crashed. Data shows that green crackers didn't really prevent that toxic spike. So either the technology has not really scaled or enforcement did not happen. So the problem with green crackers is that it's very difficult in that one night or two nights for enforcement to actually go out and check everybody's crackers and make sure that there are only green crackers on sale. And since the difference between green crackers and the regular crackers is about 30% emission, on a larger scale, it hasn't made too much of a difference. So we're seeing this sort of pattern across our fight against pollution. There's a policy that gets created, but enforcement is completely lacking. The government, and that is specifically to do with crackers, but if we look at the argument that it's not just crackers, there's actually other things that contribute to the pollution, that's a fair argument if we consider that. The government has acted to some extent. We've got Bharat 6-stage fuel norms that got brought in, the Eastern Peripheral Expressway to divert the trucks around Delhi instead of through it, the graded response plan, but all of these comes in only after AQI crosses 300. So we wait until it's already gotten much worse before we do anything about it. So these are reactive measures and they don't actually solve for the problem at the ground. We should be solving for why it's crossing 300 and stopping it from getting there to begin with. Construction dust, vehicular emission, open waste burning continues unchecked through the year, and this needs to be stopped through the year. Geography makes it worse. We know that there's low wind speed, so in the winter the pollutants are just trapped near the ground and they're going to stay there for months. Punjab's farm fires, like we've already said, are down about between 72 and 75% from what it was last year. But we must also point out that the farm fires really happen in November and not in October. This year, we're talking about it earlier because the festive season came in earlier. But in November, the farm fires will actually really start. And if they're not curbed, it's going to get much, much worse for Delhi. Also, there is a problem of industrial waste and waste to energy plants within the city. It's often overlooked. It's a source of pollution. It's beyond vehicles and stubble burning. This is also an issue. Waste to energy plants given to some people who are very powerful and very close to sources of power. They've been given investments, they've been given subsidies, but actually if they emit harmful pollutants, their cost outweighs any of the profits of waste to energy. So waste to energy plants were actually a good idea on paper, but in actuals, what they're doing is just burning garbage and putting more pollutants into the air. We have to talk about politics for a minute. The Chief Minister of Delhi, Rekha Gupta, says pollution has decreased. Her ministers are saying green crackers have worked. Opposition parties are blaming the Delhi government. The Delhi government is blaming Punjab. Punjab is blaming the weather. The Supreme Court has allowed fireworks to continue this year. It said only for 2 hours, but nobody implemented that 2 hours. So clearly, everyone is talking and nobody is taking any sort of responsibility. Everybody's using pollution as a prop to blame the other. But I think for the people of Delhi, the interesting thing for me has been that pollution happened when there was a Congress government in Delhi, and then it happened when there was an Aam Aadmi Party government in Delhi, and now there's a BJP government in Delhi. And it has not changed across these various parties, proving that the political actual intent is lacking across the board. Now, here's the thing. In Delhi, 264 days of the year are either poor or worse, according to some stations of measurement in terms of air quality. So 7 to 9 months of the year, you have crap air in Delhi, which means that this is not a problem only of the winter. This is a problem all year around. And then in the winter, the weather plus the firecrackers, plus the stubble burning, make it worse. But the thing that makes it worst of all is the inaction and the lack of intent by the politicians. all across the board. It's also the seat of power, which means that our defense headquarters are there, the Supreme Court is there, the heads of government are all in Delhi, all major embassies are in Delhi, NGOs are stationed in Delhi. So everybody who makes important decisions are in Delhi. And this is showing complete inaction on all of these people's parts to actually do the right thing. What is the right thing? The answers have been on the table in front of all these people for nearly a decade. Okay, this is not new information. All year round rules for construction. Remember, construction happens all over the world, in all big cities in the world. So why is it that there are big cities in the world, cities like Manhattan in New York, for example, like London, like cities like Singapore, where the air quality stays well below 30 for most of the year? Their construction has rules that actually make sure that they limit the amount of dust that comes out from that construction. These are rules that happen throughout the year. Why are we not able to bring that in? Actual all-round rules on emission from vehicles and trucks and how those have to be hosed down and cleaned in order to make sure that they're not tossing dust all over the place. Improved roads, shutting down of damage of industry that is damaging the air, of waste to energy plants within city limits, improving the movement of traffic in our cities. We have 2-hour traffic jams, 3-hour traffic jams. These are all cars that are idling the whole time and emitting emissions into the air that whole time. A full complete ban on stubble burning across all states that is implemented with an iron hand. Curbs on firecrackers all year round for all year festivals. This is something that needs to be done because it's a question of life and death at the end of the day. And it's a question of who will do it. Now, unfortunately, none of these things are popular. It's not popular to curb stubble burning because you want to be able to get the votes from the farmers. It's not popular to ban firecrackers. It's not popular to shut down or to move industry. It's not popular to actually make hard decisions and move actually things on construction. So it is not a popular thing to do, and that's why nobody does it. From a global perspective, remember, this is an example that gets brought up a lot. About a decade ago, China had a massive air pollution problem. It made the changes that were necessary to clean up the air around its big cities of Beijing and Shanghai. China, which was the largest firecracker user in the world, actually banned firecrackers in 440 cities. UK, Germany, Singapore have restrictions that require municipal licenses to use firecrackers or fireworks, and can only be done in certain designated spaces. And globally, the trend is towards community fireworks shows and not each individual home actually having access to fireworks, also because of the danger of burns and fires and other sort of explosions that could happen. In fact, if you look at social media right now, it's full of visuals of police having to shut down illegal or unauthorized fireworks across New Jersey, in the USA, in UK, Canada, in Dubai even, where they said that this is not okay because it's not allowed in those countries. The bottom line is that every single Indian pays hospital bills, lost working days, children missing school, billions wiped out. And we have to realize that children right now that are under the age of 10 will have underdeveloped or stunted developed lungs because they are constantly breathing bad air. And that's not good for anybody. If the only thing we respond to is GDP, then what research tells us is that we will be raising an entire generation of sickly Indians, which means the whole country will be sicker than it is right now. None of this information is good, and yet somehow robbing us of something far more valuable than money is our health and our future. We're not able to make the changes on the ground to actually see some sort of impact. Leave me a comment in the comment section on why you believe we're not able to make a difference and where that difference should lie. Whether you think we should be tackling stubble burning differently, should we be tackling vehicular emission differently, should we be tackling factories inside of our cities, or should we be tackling any other problem? Where do you see the problem, and why is it not being solved?